We are committed to talking Big 12 football with all of you each and every Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Big 12 channel. My name's Mark Rogers, and we are the voice of college football. And again, appreciate you being here for about 5 consecutive weeks. Nathan Brown, Big 12 Mafia, not able to join us today, but Nathan and myself have launched this show. And please check out the previous episodes because they have not gone out of date as we have set you up for the Big 12 entry into the college football playoffs with Arizona State and, of course, the bowl season. A few things I'd like to hit on today. Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner, some of the backlash that I've heard that I don't necessarily know where it's coming from and whom it involves. Then we've got the All-America team. We will check out the Big 12 members there. The bowl lineup, which of course kicked off this past weekend, but we're going to see our first power conference team involved coming from the Big 12, West Virginia and Memphis on Tuesday night. Can't wait to watch some college football with some major bowl teams involved, some major programs involved. And then also want to check out your comments, whether they be the live comments that you provide there in the chat, but we're going to go through all the comments that have come into the channel in recent days and weeks. Okay, let's get to it then. First and foremost, concerning Travis Hunter, and I did not see any of the Heisman Trophy presentation. I saw a clip. It was probably all of 8 to 15 seconds of Travis Hunter being emotional about his father not being able to be there. I don't know what the circumstances are. It does seem as though his father is not any type of absentee dad, that he's been very involved in his son's life and attended many games. I don't know what the purpose there or the reason that he couldn't make it to New York City, but he certainly seemed, Travis Hunter, very appreciative of his father and their relationship. So that seems to be a good thing. That is always good to hear when a young football player has a strong relationship with his father and didn't have to go it alone or just with a mom in the house, but had both parents. And so that was good to see. And so involving Travis Hunter winning the Heisman Trophy by a pretty substantial margin over Ashton Jeanty of Boise State, I would have voted for Travis Hunter. I would not have given it that much thought. I would have taken and would take a Heisman Trophy vote very seriously. The credibility of me having a vote versus other people, that's another topic for another time. I and others certainly have more knowledge of the game and what's going on in the game than many people who have Heisman votes. That was most became aware to me in the early 2000s when I moved to Connecticut, when I first got the job at ESPN, and I started listening to Mike and the Mad Dog out of New York. So Mike Francesa, longtime college football guy going back to the CBS days of the 1980s, and just a great radio commentator. And Chris Russo, baseball guy, primarily comments on all sports. And they had at the time and for a long time, the number one radio show in the United States out of the Fan in New York City. And I locked in on this show. I knew nothing. I had heard of it, knew very little about it, and started listening to it since it was within the radio range in Connecticut. Started listening faithfully, and it entertained me, informed me, pissed me off, annoyed me, did all those things, depending on the day, depending on the topic. But they at one point let it be known that they did not watch college football until late in the season, especially Chris Russo, and did not, it was very apparent, had no idea who these players were. No idea. Would just refer to them as the Auburn quarterback or the Tennessee running back or the Ohio State wide receiver. And both had Heisman votes, which I consider to be legitimate for Francesa, for Mad Dog Russo, not legitimate, not credible. So there are Heisman voters who don't know what they're doing. However, this vote seemed credible in its totality. I'm sure that there were a lot of misplaced votes and a lot of people that are incompetent. You can still vote for a legitimate choice. It was pretty obvious who was in the running and who had a deserving season. In any given year, Ashton Jeanty could have won the Heisman Trophy and been a legitimate selection. Absolutely. Cam Ward, the same thing, the quarterback from Miami. Anybody else? No. There is no other player in the country, excluding those three, in my estimation, that at any point in any year, any time, should be seriously considered for a Heisman Trophy. They could be on the ballot. They could receive votes. They could finish 7th. But Dylan Gabriel, no. Who else did we see? I did not look at anywhere past about the first 3 guys. So I usually find it interesting to look at the entire ballot and the entire vote totals, because then you see the guys that finish 8th, 9th, 10th down the line. I think Kyle McCord of Syracuse was the last player receiving votes. So Travis Hunter, in my estimation, again, I would not have given this much thought. Not that I wouldn't have taken it seriously, because I would take a Heisman vote extremely seriously. He's the best player in America. End of story. Now, I saw some people disgruntled on social media. Now, there are always going to be disgruntled people because they thought somebody else should have won it, or more likely, they are fans of Miami, Oregon, Boise State, and they believe that their guy should have won it because they're biased, and that's fine. We're all biased, and you're college football fans. You're allowed to be biased and to root for your guy and to have little objectivity in looking at this. But then I start to see this backlash. I did not see the attacks on Travis Hunter in winning the Heisman. I saw, again, attacks on Travis Hunter based on Boise State, Miami, and Oregon fans who wanted their guy to win. But that happens every year. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. If you want to say Cam Ward got ripped off or Ashton Jeanty got ripped off and Ashton Jeanty himself said, I should have won the Heisman Trophy, that's fine. That's not an attack on Travis Hunter. That's an attack. That's a promotion for that fan base's favorite player and them wanting him to win the Heisman and them being very biased. No problem. The problem came in, based on what I saw, is that the race card came into it. Now, how could the race card possibly come into a situation in which every candidate, serious candidate for the Heisman Trophy, was of the same race? Well, it did, because Travis Hunter's coach is Deion Sanders, who's black. So I saw a number of places on social media where there was this huge conspiracy theory that there was backlash against Travis Hunter winning the Heisman Trophy because his coach is black. Travis Hunter won the Heisman Trophy. He earned it. He deserved it. And then there are always going to be fans who wanted their player to win. Therefore, they're going to criticize the decision. Why do we have to send every topic under the sun in the same direction? It is exhausting. It is exhausting how many people are offended by the stupidest things. That's enough on that topic. Hopefully, I made my point. We have made that way too much of an issue in this country. And because we've made, certain people have made, or certain groups of people have made this and hyper exposed and view everything through that lens, then they have created more of an issue. Pathetic. If you have any comments or questions, we will read those there in the chat. I wanted to get to the All-America team as it pertains to the Big 12. And let's see who shows up here. The Big 12 had 4 on the first team. We've got the Arizona wide receiver McMillan as the first teamer. And I believe that's back-to-back years for him as first-team wide receiver, despite Arizona's issues in not even getting to a bowl game. He's been one of the best. We also have Cam Skattebo out of Arizona State. He got a late Heisman push, and he's arguably been the best back in the nation to Ashton Genty. So he gains a first-team All-America nod. Cam Skattebo out of Arizona State. Well done. Travis Hunter, of course, the best player and the best all-purpose player. That can't be questioned in America out of Colorado. First team All-America. Travis Hunter, again, wow. From day one, from game one, when I first saw him play, I never saw him play at Jackson State. When they opened up last season as the Fox featured game against, of course, the TCU team, not the same players, but the team, the same uniforms that played for the national championship the season before it. I saw Travis Hunter making plays as a defensive back. Did you see few guys, both from an athletic standpoint and an awareness, instincts standpoint. And then he turns out to be that good of a wide receiver. He's got about 80 catches this year, plus. Phenomenal. One of the best players we've seen. Other players making the AP first team from the Big 12. There's Travis Hunter at all-purpose on offense and at cornerback on defense. And I believe that should wrap it up for the first team on that side of the ball. Travis Hunter made it on the second team as a wide receiver. We have Utah tackle Spencer Fano, who made it as a second-team All-America tackle, which is quite a feat for a guy who's playing for a 5-7 football team. Wyatt Millam out of West Virginia. West Virginia's had one of the best offensive lines in America the last couple of years. A lot of excellent players on the West Virginia offensive line, despite their struggles in going 6-6 and Neil Brown fired. So there's a second teamer from West Virginia. Shedeur Sanders at quarterback. That's a good choice. I totally agree with the quarterback selections of Ward on the first team and Sanders on the second team. Perfect. Omarion Hampton of North Carolina. I know we're talking about the Big 12, but wow, he's a phenomenal back. And that appears to be it for the Big 12 on offense. And then for the Big 12 on the defensive side, on the second team, I'm not seeing anybody else show up. That appears to be it. Well, let's look at the third team. Big 12, Big 12, Big 12. Iowa State's Jaden Higgins. Iowa State's had one of the best wide receiving corps in the country. Jordan Tyson, who, despite his absence, of course, Arizona State rolled in the Big 12 championship game, and Tyson had some enormous days for Arizona State as their number one receiving target by far this year, and have not checked on his status for the college football playoff. That is something to look into. If you know anything about Jordan Tyson and his status for the CFP, second round game of Arizona State taking on either Texas or Clemson? Let us know. And that appears to be it for no. We got RJ Harvey at running back. So despite UCF's issues in only going 4-8, RJ Harvey had a tremendous season in 2023, backed it up again this season to be a third-team All-America selection. And then we go with the defensive side on the third team, and anybody from the Big 12. I do not see anyone stepping in from the Big 12 on the defensive side on the third team. No, we got a defensive back in Mello Dotson from Kansas. Daytona Beach, Florida. Near and dear to my heart. There we go. All right, so we just wanted to run down the Big 12 All-America selections. And then we wanted to get to the bowl games, and we wanted to respond to your comments as well. So the bowl lineup looks like this concerning the Big 12. Arizona State in the CFP. Now, coming up on Tuesday night, I'm looking forward to this game. Memphis beat Iowa State out of the Big 12 last season in bowl play. Now they've got a Frisco Bowl game against West Virginia, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN, December 17th. And elsewhere from the Big 12, we've got Kansas State taking on Rutgers from the Big 10 in the Rate Bowl. And Kansas State's a pretty solid, close to touchdown favorite. And that game's going to be played on December 26th. And this is really when bowl season gets fun, is right after Christmas. Texas Tech. Texas Tech and Arkansas, of course, have a long history going back to the Southwest Conference. Liberty Bowl game. So basically a home game for Arkansas taking on Texas Tech, and that game coming up a couple days after Christmas. And elsewhere out of the Big 12, you got TCU taking on Louisiana in the New Mexico Bowl, Miami and Iowa State, which obviously Cam Ward's not playing. We're going to have to total up all the guys that are going to miss that game. But that, had those teams been at full strength, that would have been one of the better bowl games. Iowa State and Miami playing in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Everybody loves Pop-Tarts. Then, of course, we've got a unique pairing here at the Alamo Bowl where we've got two Big 12 teams that did not play. So I'm okay with this. Colorado taking on BYU. And that, I believe, no, we've got one more from the Big 12 coming up with Baylor and LSU, a couple 8-4 teams in the Texas Bowl. And that is on New Year's Day leading into the college football playoff games. So that is it for the Big 12 and bowl games. Let's see what we have for comments. So these are comments that came into the channel. And if you're not subscribed here at the Voice of College Football on the Big 12 channel, please do. We would love to get to 1,000 subs. Trippin says that no one travels like BYU. That place, meaning the Alamo Bowl, is going to be blue and white. That well could be. I don't know that no one travels like BYU. Irvin JD liked Iowa State's defense to push the clamps on Arizona State's offense and win 24-21. That obviously didn't happen. And hey, Urban, I'm right there with you. I thought it would be a great game and Iowa State would pull it out. Timothy Green, congratulations to TCU on their great season. Jeremy, where is Colorado? The hate is real. I have no idea what we're talking about there. Wiley says there should be no rankings till the second week of November. He's probably right, but that won't happen. There's too much interest. Urban JD, thank you so much for the contribution. We appreciate that. Savion Williams should be considered a Big 12 Player of the Year. Well, there's one guy in the conference that obviously stood in the way of that, but yeah, he's an exceptional player. No question about that. Devil Frog 4953 says the biggest thing Arizona State did was hire Brian Carrington 2 years ago. He's the cornerback coach, but he's also a stud ace recruiter. He recruited very well for Texas, SMU, and TCU. So, Devil Frog, if that is accurate information, we appreciate that because that is real below the surface kind of insight there. That much of Arizona State's success, of course, Kenny Dillingham is going to get the bulk of that, but Brian Carrington, cornerback coach and ace recruiter at Arizona State. Doug watches Iowa State, of course, picked Iowa State to win against Arizona State. No big surprise there. Joseph Ross, Iowa State and Arizona State owned the tiebreakers, and this is back when we were talking about tie-breaking situations. We've got BJ, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not sure I agree 100% with the Arizona State voice here, which would be, I believe, Michelle Gardner of Arizona Republic. About anything is gravy on top at this point. Anytime the Arizona State fan base gets their hopes up like this, we get a taste again of the glory years of decades ago. But to be fair, Arizona State was at such a low point when Herm was fired that maybe the sheer whiplash of how much of a turnaround this year has been that maybe ASU could lose to BYU and in the bowl game. And again, we're going back weeks and weeks and weeks. This stuff is no longer relevant. I'll check the chat if you got anything here. Okay, Stormy Cyclone. I'm glad you commented here. We have a very small gathering of people. This is not necessarily what we do on a regular basis here at the Voice of College Football, but we've got a Big 12 show every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Unfortunately, Nathan Brown from Big 12 Mafia could not make it. He's our regular co-host, and then we also have guests file through, and we've had great shows up until this point. So, Stormy Cyclone, check out our Iowa State channel. It just launched with Levi Stevenson of SB Nation. Levi goes live every Tuesday night. It's on the Iowa State channel. Should be able to find it just by, I'll put it in the chat. This is the Iowa State channel. And so we are just getting Iowa State coverage cranked up, but Levi is the best. And again, he just launched a Tuesday show, Tuesday, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Check it out. Stormy Cyclone, you have to check out the new Pop-Tarts trophy. They worked with the GE to make a working toaster inside the trophy. Seriously, that's cool. That's crazy. That is funny. So, yeah, somebody's going to win this. And then you would have to, before you actually put that inside the trophy case to just be kept away for years and years and years, you'd have to do something where maybe you had like a little student get together and you'd make toast. And well, you'd obviously have to toast Pop-Tarts. But yeah, you'd have go to the student center, the student union, have a party, and everybody brings their favorite Pop-Tarts and you toast them in the trophy and you have a Pop-Tart party. That's the best suggestion I can come up with off the top of my head. I think it's a pretty darn good one. Pop-Tart party after the win with the toaster trophy as the centerpiece and the star of the party, the life of the party. I like it. I'm glad I found that out. Thank you so much. I had not come across that fact. Good stuff. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Check out all the team channels. Keep in mind that we've got channels all over the place. And for the Big 12 right now, it's basically this channel. Then we've got on Tuesday night, we've got Clint Foster here with the Biggest 12 show. You got to check out Clint Foster. He's quirky. He's funny. He's smart. He brings on great guests. It's at 7:30 Eastern every Tuesday with the Biggest 12 show right here. And then again, the Iowa State show is on Tuesday night as well at 8 Eastern. And you have to forgive me for not remembering all of our shows because we've got way too many at this point. We do have a West Virginia channel too, West Virginia Big 12 fans. And more to come. More to come. Okay. Well, thank you for catching me up on this. FF 18 buffs. Travis's dad was incarcerated. Okay. All right. That makes total sense. Thank you so much for letting me know that. Could not travel or leave the state, unfortunately, but they do love each other very much. Thank you. That is good information to have. I thought that there had to be some kind of backstory, something else involved that would keep. The only other thing I could have thought of was some type of debilitating type sickness. So that explains everything. Thank you for that. See, John says, great breakdown. Thank you for that. Hunter was a beast this year. Well-deserved Heisman. It's going to be fun to see him play at the next level. And again, I heard so much about him at Jackson State. And of course, he almost signed at Florida State. He was a Florida State fanatic. He went to every camp. He was on campus for everything. And of course, he played high school football in Georgia. And that was a huge letdown, of course, to Florida State. That might have been, even though that preceded the huge 13-1 season, that might have been the beginning of the downturn. They were about to get the number one player in the nation, and he spurned them on the last day. He went with Dion. He goes to Jackson State. I never saw him play there. Then I see this game against TCU to start last season. And of course, I was locked in like everybody else through the Colorado State game, the Stanford game, all those early season games when Colorado made a splash. They beat TCU. They beat Colorado State. I'm trying to think who the third game was. They started 3-0. Nebraska. And in addition to the athleticism, it's the ability to be so aware of spacing and to be able to bait quarterbacks, to be able to play off his man and go get the football, all the things on the defensive side that he's able to do. And then to be a polished well, that might be an overstatement. By college standards, a polished wide receiver at the same time, it's remarkable. And I know Ashton Jeanty had a great season, and I have no issue. So there are some things that I disagree with that I would say, okay, what I disagree with, there's no logic, there's no reason, that's not a rational decision. But then sometimes you would disagree with something and you can say, I understand your decision. I understand your choice. I just disagree slightly, but you make a very valid choice. And that would be my response to anyone who voted for Ashton Jeanty. I have no issue with anyone who voted for Ashton Jeanty. He is well deserving of the Heisman Trophy and would have won the Heisman Trophy in other years. However, best player in the country, that's what the Heisman Trophy stands for. Best player in the country, Travis Hunter, without a doubt. Not the best quarterback in the country either this year. All right, folks, we appreciate you being here, the voice of college football. And again, an abbreviated edition today with no guests or no co-host in Nathan Brown. But we invite you back here next Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, at that point, we're going to have a second round playoff matchup for Arizona State against either Clemson or Texas. And also, I reached out as soon as I found out that Nathan wasn't going to make it today. I reached out to a number of folks connected to the Big 12 that are top level contributors and guests to let them know that they are welcome anytime, but it was too short notice to get anything put together today. So thanks for being here at the Voice of College Football. We have got a jam-packed lineup. We see our buddy Jackson Johnson here. He's got an Alabama show lined up for tonight, as he always does, at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 Central on the Alabama channel. I will be live on the main channel with the Big Ten Live show at 9 Eastern with Matt Zemek. So we will see you then. Have a great day, and I'm sure we will have much more college football news as the transfer portal continues to hum to talk about later tonight. See you then. Thanks for being here.